Are we on?
Yes, we are. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're here at Jim's studio.
We'll have to continue our conversation about cooking later.
Absolutely.
That's a different show, right?
It's an entirely different show. But here we are at Jim's studio. We have a special online signing event going on, and this is our way of reaching out to all of you who aren't able to come to Jim's usual events. I'm Valerie Menzel, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to the one and only Jim Shore.
Well, thank you so much, Valerie. It is wonderful once again to be with you.
Oh, you too.
We're making a habit out of this, and it's one that I can certainly live with.
Well,
it's an absolute pleasure to take this little bit of time and allow us to get into everyone's home and make a little bit of a personal connection from their heart to ours.
That's right.
And we can show them a few of the things that I'm into, and we're so thankful for what they do for us. So we're returning the favor a little bit today by showing you some new things.
Well, it is always a treat to be here in this beautiful studio with you. And tonight we're going to be featuring some beautiful new designs for the holidays. And we have a couple of surprises that we'll be sharing along the way. And the best part of the evening is that everything purchased on jimshore.com from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight will be signed personally by Jim. The
No
poor
kidding.
guy.
I'm
It takes
just
him
kidding.
hours to do that,
I'm
but
kidding.
you know.
I'm so happy to be able to do that for everybody, and I can guarantee you one thing: if nothing else, when I sign a piece, you will get a beautifully crafted, legible signature.
That's
the
right.
first one and the last one.
He puts a lot of care
There's a reason
into
for that too, and maybe I can tell that story later. But I take care because I respect the people that honor me by allowing me to sign for them, and I want them to have a legible signature.
There you go. So this is what tonight's all about.
Yep.
And if you're watching us on Facebook, just head on over to jimshore.com and you can take advantage of the special signing offer there. We have a couple of things that we want to remind you of is that we can only sign in-stock items that are on jimshore.com.
I'd almost forgotten.
Yes, we don't have phone orders tonight or any other special kind of orders, unfortunately. And please allow 4 weeks for delivery because Jim does need the time to sign all those pieces and special shipping rates applied. Yes. He has to rest a couple hours in between each one. And regular shipping charges apply, of course. And, we will be here live streaming on Facebook and YouTube until about 8 o'clock, and then the show will loop for 2 hours after that, and so you will be able to watch us all evening from 7 to 10 on jimshore.com.
We got a lot to cover. I hope we can fit it all into an hour.
I know. He's constantly working. He has so much to show and so much to give. So why don't we get started, because we have a lot to talk about tonight.
Sounds good.
So first of all, we have Disney, and I know your daughters particularly love The Nightmare Before Christmas, so we have some of that going on.
What a wonderful day to be, showing that, the day after Halloween.
There you go. There you go.
I hope everybody had a great Halloween. Our family did, and they're all sugared up. And,
Candy comas,
But one of the pleasant things to me about working with the folks at Disney, aside from the fact that they are at the very top of the mountain when it comes to this type of artwork, and it was such an honor to be able to and be permitted, to share my artwork with them, is aside from doing just the iconic pieces, the Mickey, the Minnie, and which I love so much, and I've done them all the way back to Steamboat Willie. I was very excited, and still am, about getting to do everything else.
Yeah.
All of the princess story, and it's all they bring stories to life like nobody else. And I think one of the most entertaining stories and unique, the way it's presented and everything, was the Nightmare Before Christmas. The characters are so well defined, and the theme of the story and so forth was so interesting and so whimsical in a slightly dark way. It was just there's a little something there, I think, for everybody. And what I've tried to do is, along with the personality poses of the characters, which you can see Jack Skellington here, along with the I guess you might say it mixed medium, because we've got this miniature string of lights that can only be done like this in this way for the proportion to be correct. So I'm very delighted with this piece and the coloration and so forth. But then what I really like is this is this storybook version, and all of you who know my artwork know that occasionally I'll do pictures that sort of tell the whole story in a storybook fashion.
Right.
You can see it's all labeled there and so forth. So that's one little sort of scene that's pulled out, a snapshot in the ongoings of the movie that portray some of the characters, and that is, if you collect that subject, that is just a few of many of the pieces that I've done and will do in the future. So that's a good one to have if you like that subject.
Right, and also this year you've introduced the princesses with an ornament, so that's also something fun and new and exciting to look at.
Oftentimes, Valerie, I'll add something to represent the story within the story, some aspect or some feature, something or another that will be part of it that will be sort of, you might say, out of place in the right way. And in this case, this ornament sort of takes the place of that, and it's one of the characters and so forth from the from the movie, and you got Aurora there and everything. So
just makes it unique and interesting.
And still, I haven't let up on all the design work. As you can see, it's it's something all the way around.
Of course, with the quilting and all of that.
In this case, it's tone on tone. Because it's emblematic of something that you'll actually see in the movie, and I didn't want to get too far afield from that.
Right.
And it's the same way with this piece here. I think this is a lovely piece as far as the dynamics of the piece. It's I'm sort of known as a folk artist, but folk art is generally kind of static, and so I like to deviate from that a little bit from time to time and have motion and have and also some emotional contact within the piece. And I think that does a lovely job of that.
Right. Well, I know you always love to hear from your viewers.
I
So
do.
tonight we're going to try to answer as many questions from the Facebook group as we can. And Stephanie wrote to us asking if you were going to do anything with Pixar this year.
I'm not planning on doing anything immediately with Pixar, for the simple reason that we're still sort of in talks with them about how far I can go as far as, altering, the integrity, I guess you might say, or the purity of their designs. They don't generally permit that. And early on, of course, Disney didn't either, until I sort of came along and was able to put my footprint on the Disney pieces. We're hoping that we can come to some sort of conclusion whereby, if not altering, I should say not altering, but decorating the characters from the Pixar, of which there's so many. I just love so many of them, and I would love nothing more than to be a part of it. But by maybe compromising a little bit with maybe altering and putting my artistic style on maybe the backgrounds or the sets or something that's around the pieces. So I think there's a good possibility that you'll be seeing them pretty soon, but I'm not currently working on any pieces, but it is something that is not outside the realm of possibilities, because we are kind of marginally working to get that done.
Gotcha. Well, next up we have the Victorian line. Now this is richer, deeper colors, a spot of glitter here and there, very old-fashioned, old world, the 19th century symbolism, sort of harking back to the days of your grandmother. I know this was something that kind of touched you because it brought you back to the family and when you were growing up.
Valerie, one of the things that I enjoy doing and that I think is really one of the strengths of the line is the fact that it's not set in one character or one style. And I'm free to do these various different styles, everything from very, very primitive folk art up to things that are fairly refined, as these pieces here are. And what these pieces do, they're meant to sort of be kind of a retro look back to the Victorian days, the early days of the last century, when this kind of decor and this kind of design work was popular. I'll tell you, one thing that inspired me, something that has never left my mind, when I was a kid, my grandparents had an attic
Ooh,
that was like a wonderland.
I bet.
It was full of treasure.
Oh,
And one of the things I found up there was a collection of antique greeting cards. And they were all from that era, and they were real, you know.
oh wow.
They weren't reproductions, they were a real thing.
Right.
And it had this kind of styling, this kind of Victorian styling. And it actually had glitter on it, you know. And I thought the glitter was just such a beautiful touch. It's one of the main things that set this apart from what I normally do, is I've added just a hint of glitter in the form of this sugar style glitter on all the pieces, and it really adds a luster, and it adds to that Victorian look, you know. But the patterning that I've used, while I often use a version of rose modeling or some of the European, you know, inspired painting styles, such as that's morphed into kind of our Pennsylvania Dutch style of stuff. I also use the quilt patterns. In this case, I drew on patterns that were inspired by Victorian wallpaper prints. And you can see that, you know, you can, as you turn these pieces around, you can see what I'm talking about. It's
that one too.
There we go, that one, and even this one here.
Beautiful.
That's one of my favorites, actually. But the detailing on this is a little more detailed even than I normally do.
And I love the nutcracker. My brother is a huge collector of nutcrackers.
I love nutcrackers too. I do a lot of them. And this, as you can see, they actually, I wouldn't recommend, you know, putting a walnut in there, but
but it does work.
but it does work, you know. But
and the nativity is beautiful.
The
These,
nativity,
you've done quite a few of these, and they're just lovely.
yeah, the nativity is something that I do very frequently. It's one of my favorite subjects to do. And this one was done in order to sort of coordinate with this Victorian theme that I've, you know,
Yes.
started on.
Now, Sue from the Facebook was saying that the Santas look a little bit like you around the eyes. So she's wondering, is this a self-portrait that you have going on?
Thank you for your question, Sue. Absolutely. No, I'll tell you
It's
what.
a cameo.
It's a narcissism. That's what it is.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, a lot of people ask me that. You know, these things look like yours. It's a self-portrait, and you know, I looked into that because I never really consciously intended for that to happen.
Oh, no.
But I got to looking at it myself. I thought, by golly, they're right. It doesn't look like me. But now, I read an article about the psychology of art and artists.
Oh, interesting.
And they said it's not uncommon for artists that are doing scenes or doing, you know, with people,
Right.
to incorporate either the people that they know, you know, family, people that they love,
There you
or
go.
themselves.
Sure.
Because those are some of the elements that they're most familiar with. So it
Right.
automatically translates, and I guess I'm guilty of doing that.
Guilty.
Here's another one. See, a good example right here.
There you go. There you go. And now,
See the cheeks?
oh, that's right. The cheeks full of
No mustache.
rosy cheeks and all of that. Oh, so sweet. Oh.
Okay.
Well, Jeff asks, if you had one piece you would love to do in the future, what would it be?
I am so happy that question was asked, because, you know, from time to time I get these ideas in my mind of things that, in particular, that I haven't done before subject-wise and I want to do.
Right.
Well, in this case, I have been working diligently lately on putting together a teddy bear collection. Now, teddy bears have always been popular ever since Stife or you know, Care Bears or you know, cherished teddies.
Sure.
And,
absolutely.
You know, the classic Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
So it's always been a great subject. And what I've done, I have examples of them right here.
Ah, sneak
By
peek,
chance.
everyone.
If the
Want me
camera
to
can
hold-
get a
hold it there?
get a load of that, as they say. These are concept drawings with sort of this idea of a character that I want to try to start developing. And let's see.
Here, how about I
It
help?
gives you an idea. What it will be is it'll be the character will be the bear, of course, and nothing will change except for the quilt pattern in the middle. That'll change color and subject, because quilts are, you know, have symbology, I guess is, I think, a good word, that represents so many times emotions or different stuff like that. There's friendship, and there's, you know, the Irish chain, and there's grandmother's flower basket, and there's you know, the cathedral windows, and, you know, on and on. You
Yeah,
know, and
sure.
the wedding rings. and all that sort of thing. So that's depending on what I want the bear to say will be represented in a quilt pattern. So there's his trusty balloon dog. That's Squeaky.
Everybody has a name, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm naming them all. So, but you know, I would love to have some feedback from all of you who are interested in this kind of subject, and just see what you think, and let me know if I'm on the right track, or if I'm, if you have suggestions or that sort of thing. I'd love to hear it, because that's one of the things that inspires me the most, getting suggestions for subjects and for changes in the way I do things from the folks that I'm working for.
There you go. So you heard it from him. Please, on Facebook, write some comments on his teddy bear collection. And if you're just joining us, we're in the middle of a live stream tonight, an online signing event. So everything purchased from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on jimshore.com will be personally signed by Jim. Now, please give us 4 weeks for delivery, so Jim has time to sign everything, and all the regular shipping rates apply. We have lots and lots to share with you tonight, lots of new designs for the holidays. We will be giving you some sneak peeks on certain things. So we will be here for an hour, but then the show will loop for 2 hours after that, so you'll be able to see it, the entire signing event, on jimshore.com.
Yeah, that's good to know, because if they're just now picking us up or tuning in,
absolutely,
you won't miss anything, because it's going to
continue.
We'll do it again, and then we'll do it again.
That's right. And if you're watching on Facebook, don't worry. Just go over to jimshore.com. And that's one thing we do have to stress, is that it's only in-stock items on jimshore.com. We can't do phone orders or any kind of special orders tonight, unfortunately.
Much as we'd love to.
That's right. Now this, of course, is our Peanuts line, right? Lots of fun things here. One of the most iconic American culture type things, and it kind of has that, nostalgia this time of year, especially with the Peanuts specials, the Great Pumpkin and the Thanksgiving one, and of course my favorite is the Christmas one. So
well, it's every bit as Americana as anything,
right.
And it's something that is part of so many of ours, our traditions for the holidays. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Halloween, the Great Pumpkin,
yes.
and of course the Christmas specials that they do,
right,
are just unforgettable, and that's always been a part of our of our Christmas in the family. And aside from that, though, I look at the mastery of the artist Charles Schulz, who I have. He's not with us anymore. God rest his soul. But I've always had the utmost respect and admiration for him to be able to bring to life,
I know,
these characters in such a way that it's almost like philosophy, There's stories to be told. It's not just some funny little thing. It's there's a lot of depth to this,
mm-hmm.
And so he's, the point that he's making, and the interaction between the kids are, sometimes tell a story of how real life either is or should be.
Right.
So I'm loving it.
And I think it's so interesting that their stories impact us, and they've been around for 50, however many years.
Yeah.
And they're still as pertinent today as they were back then. So
I was just a little thing when I started.
So you love them, and now today's children love them. It's
one of those timeless things.
Yes.
It's like Mickey Mouse.
Right, exactly. So let's look a little closer at some of these pieces.
All right.
They're so cute. And of course, I'm a huge Snoopy fan. So I happen to really love this one.
Yeah, the big one. There's our centerpiece. That is, if you like Snoopy, or if you like Peanuts, that's Snoopy and Snoopy and Woodstock,
mm-hmm.
and a little bit of Jim Shore flair to it. But for the most part, what I try to do is I try to be very, very faithful, I guess you'd say, to the characters themselves.
Yes.
And that's whether I'm doing Rudolph, or whether I'm doing Disney, or whether I'm doing Peanuts. Then I put my footprint on it, and it sort of becomes a little bit of mine.
Right.
But the scale of this piece, it's a big piece.
I know, he's beautiful.
And so it's something that you could really, if you're a collector, this is the piece for you, I can tell you. You won't find Snoopy in this kind of, or any of the Peanut characters in this kind of scale.
Usually they're much smaller. That's unusual. And then the snowman is so unusual because, again, we were talking earlier about sometimes you have a story within a story within a story. And here you have your snowman, which is something you're known for, but it has the whole Peanut story on his tummy, which I thought was really neat.
This is actually a fairly complex piece. You know, you think of snowman as, okay, 3 white balls.
Right.
Boom, done. Well, of course, my approach to it is a little bit different because I just love putting designs on everything. But even on the snowman, my goal on the snowman is to cover it with designs, and yet it still remain 3 white balls, so that the designs are never so overwhelming that you think, what, a red snowman,
Yeah.
So what I've done here is I've got the whole gang here. In fact, the whole gang is represented in this piece in a fair amount of detail, I must say. And then up here, you've got Woodstock sort of overseeing it all up here in his nest.
So clever.
And I think the personality and the character of the snowman is just whimsical enough to really set it off. The painting around the style is actually around the snowman is actually in the style of what you'd see in the Peanuts comic strip if you opened it up. And then of course I've got a little bit of my signature down here at the bottom. But altogether, I think this came together as a pretty nice piece. I actually love the color of the scarf.
Of course, purple.
In case you didn't notice.
We all know his story about purple, right? He has purple in every piece.
I try. There's a few pieces out there that don't have purple in them.
No.
Yeah, there's a few pieces, and invariably, if I make mention of the fact during a signing, that I put purple in every piece, somebody will lift that piece up.
Oh no!
Where is it in this piece?
Call you on it.
Every
Gotcha.
time.
And this, of course, is another one of your nativities, in a sense, right?
That is almost an iconic scene, in the play that they do.
Right, the pageant.
All the little characters, that make up the nativity, and really what is really the real story of Christmas, and they emphasize that in a very whimsical way, and that's what I've tried to accomplish here at the same thing.
Right, and I think that'd be such a great piece for a child. I could see that in a child's room or something.
It would be perfect for a child's room.
Yeah.
Or actually an adult's room. We have it in our room.
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
Well, so many of the pieces I do, to tell you the truth, while they are, they're interesting to collectors and so forth, a lot of these pieces, we gave them to our kids to take to their college dorms when they went away, and they decorated with my artwork.
Right.
And so forth. So.
Well, Jill asks, what's the most challenging piece and design you've done? What's been the most fun for you? Okay,
well, so much of it's been fun. I enjoy doing what I do. I do it with passion, and hopefully that shows. As a subject, I would say the most challenging thing that I do is probably the nativities.
Really?
There's a couple other things that really present some challenges, but the nativities present the challenge of the fact that you can't change the cast of characters.
Oh, absolutely not.
You can't change the story.
Right.
You have to be very true to all of that stuff. So it's got to be immediately recognizable what it is, what you're trying to say, and what you're trying to get across. So each character, whether it be the shepherds, or the wise men, or the Holy Family themselves, or the angels, or or even the way the creche is, or the star and everything, it's all got to be there, instantly recognizable. Okay. Now, I do nativities, and I do those several times a year, every single year, and I have done it for years and years and years. That's a lot of nativities.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the challenge comes trying to make sure that while it is immediately recognizable and faithful to the story, that it is also recognizable as my artwork, and also different from anything else that I've ever done.
which is almost impossible.
It is impossible.
I don't know
but we're good at the impossible around here.
I know
So
you are truly.
no, but there's several other things too. Like a lot of the subjects, whether it be Santa or whether it be the snowman or whether it be whether it be angels or whatnot. Is subjects that I do over and over, and it's a similar thing. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing more complex that I do over and over than the Nativity, and that's why I say that.
Well, this line has some new things in it. Coca-Cola was a big partnership for you this year, brand new. So we have some Coca-Cola ones, as well as Frosty and Rudolph. Now that you've been doing for like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, I've been doing Rudolph for let's see, I want to show you something. There you go.
Oh, the red-nosed reindeer. He says,
I'm so
cute,
thankful that worked.
Cute.
Isn't that cute?
It is cute.
I've been doing Rudolph for a long time. In fact, I started doing them shortly after the success of the Disney collaboration.
Okay.
So it's a co-brand that I've been doing a while. And early on, I wasn't sure, if I should even do it, to tell you the truth, because
really?
I knew it has always been something that we in the Shore household always watched and enjoyed. I can hear Burl Ives right now.
Oh yeah, silver and gold, silver and gold.
And it's such a great a great tradition.
And the abominable snowman, the snow monster.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hermie,
Yeah.
I want to be a snowman. I want to be a dentist. Yeah, dentist. Anyway, and the abominable snowman.
Yeah.
But I lost my track.
Well, you were saying you were afraid to do it. You didn't want to take away from it.
I was afraid to do it mainly because I didn't know how many other people out there would share all that. And so I gave it a little bit of a try, and I actually surprised myself at how good it was.
Well, 8 or 9 years later, I'd say a lot of people love it.
Yeah, and it's been received so well by so many people, and it's become one of our main lines that we deal with.
Right, and then you're doing the stackable. We didn't show that the last collection, but again, the stackables are always so much fun and so well done.
Well, they are, and I guess one of the main advantages of the stackable, it has all the characters and all the story and the whole works all in about this big of a footprint.
Right.
So it's a wonderful thing to decorate with, and we use it ourselves as an accompaniment to a centerpiece in decorating.
Right.
And Jan will put that up and along with other stuff and put ornaments and greenery and that sort of stuff all over the place, and it really ends up beautiful, and that's a big part of it.
And then you have a snow globe even, and
snow globes. I love snow globes.
I know, how beautiful is that?
Who doesn't love it? You know why I love snow globes? When I was a kid, and they still show it occasionally, but there was a movie, Heidi, with Shirley Temple.
Sure.
And it's like, to me, it was like one of the things every season I couldn't not wait to see the movie.
Aww.
And my favorite part in the movie is when the father gave the daughter, he brought home the gift, and it was a snow globe.
Aww.
I wanted that snow globe.
I want one.
I loved that snow globe. And so, I've done snow globes, just hundreds of them in all sorts of different ways. But every time I'm working on one, I always think back
to
on
Heidi.
how I was so attached to that image of the little girl getting that snow globe.
And then you also have ornaments. Again, this year you've always made such beautiful ornaments, and those are nice to add to the collection too.
Well, sometimes, generally my figural pieces are, like this. They're 10, 11, 9.5, 12, whatever. And sometimes, I look at them and I think, that's going to make a good ornament.
Yeah.
So I'll immediately downsize the thing, do a small version of it, try to keep the the detail that I can and so forth, make it into. Sometimes I make them this big too, but as ornaments I'll shrink them down, and I do that I've done it with hundreds of pieces, and that's a good example right there.
Well, I was going to say the Coca-Cola ones are also really lovely.
Coke, Coke rules.
Coke is it.
Coke is it. I mean, in the household, if my household stopped drinking Coke, the stock price would plummet.
Oh no! Okay.
No, I'm not kidding. We're real fans of Coke, and it's a subject that I was delighted to have, to be partnered up with, mainly because it's something that we've always had in the house.
Sure.
Even when the kids were little, that's one of their treats. We'd take it in a little straw, put it in there, and then they loved it.
There you go. Now, somebody else on Facebook, Shirley, was asking about what about any new Grinch pieces? Anything coming down the pike for Grinch? Speaking of Christmas.
Well, as a matter of fact, I've got some of my drawings right over here.
Ah.
And now I've been working on the Grinch for some time. Let's see this one. I'll show you this one last. These are some of the preliminary concept drawings that I did for the Grinch. You might want to take a look at them. I do these drawings like this of just about everything I do before I start doing them. This is the project before the project, you might say. It's a good way to communicate. I'll make a drawing like this. We'll do color work like this. That way we can adjust it and we can communicate with it.
I can hold that.
So yeah, we got this. Let me pull out another one here. Okay, here we go. That'll be one of the stacked items.
Oh, I like that.
I'll do that just like that last stacked piece you saw.
I love Max.
It'll be just like that. I'm getting to Max.
I love Max.
Okay, there's the Grinch. See the expression? Don't you love that expression?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Anyway, so the reason I do it like this, like I said, it allows me to communicate with anyone, anywhere that's involved in any of my projects, and be assured that we're both looking at the same thing, we're both seeing the same thing, and it makes it so much easier. And then we're able to communicate the color work that we do as part of our process, and then we catalog all of it, and we just have a huge collection of the originals. But here's another example right there.
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, that'll be sort of the central masterpiece,
Mm-hmm. And Chris had another question. He said, any plans for Mary Poppins? Apparently there's a new movie going to come out. So are you going to have anything coming up next year for that?
I think everybody's aware of the fact that there's going to be a new version of Mary Poppins that Disney's going to come out with, and it's scheduled to come out next year. And we will absolutely, undoubtedly be a part of that. We're sort of gearing up to create some of the pieces from that movie, because we get to have sort of a sneak peek on some of that stuff. And as far as the sort of the classic movie that everyone loves so much, we will not be doing that. There's some conflicts in there of some of the copyright issues and so forth that I don't normally get myself involved with, but they can tell me, yeah, you can do that, or no, you can't.
Right.
So that's one of the ones I can't.
Okay.
But I'm very excited about the prospects of the new one, because I think the new one will probably be, what with special effects as they are today, will probably be every bit as good and popular as the old one, maybe more.
Maybe more so. And if you're just joining us, please know that we have a very special event tonight. We're doing a live signing event. So we're here live for the next half hour or so, and then the show will loop for 2 more hours on jimshore.com. And anything purchased between 7 and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on jimshore.com, and it has to be in-stock items only, will be signed personally by Jim. So please allow 4 weeks for delivery, and know that the regular shipping rates apply. And of course, Jim will take very extra special care as he signs all those pieces. But you have to do it through jimshore.com. So if you're watching us on Facebook, just go to the jimshore.com and you can take full advantage of the special on there. So
Valerie, you mentioned early on that we're here at my studio. Did you get a chance to walk around the studio any?
Always.
What was your impression of it?
Oh, it's magnificent. Actually, I took pictures this time to share with my friends and family because it's such a beautiful space.
Early on, well, it's been, I guess, several weeks ago, we posted a I was kind of, I guess we call it a walkthrough of the studio, and gave everyone that was interested just a little bit of a peek as to, what
goes on here day to day, right?
What the workspace looks like, and that sort of thing. And I think it sort of gave everybody, kind of an appreciation for, what my what my day's like, and where I work, and what it all is. When I get involved with liking the artwork of, say, a particular artist or a craftsman or someone like that, I want to know a lot about them. I mean, it's not just enough to appreciate the artwork. I want to know about, their backstory, their family, their all that situation. And so I thought that, it would be interesting and good for the folks that collect my stuff to know as much about what I do and how I do it, so that if they're interested, I think it adds another sort of extra facet to the understanding and appreciation of the artwork.
Now tell us why your signature is so legible, and there's a good story behind this.
Well, there is a good story, actually. Many years ago, picture it, okay?
Okay.
Many years ago, when my wife and I, we were absolutely broke, and which was okay. I mean, I've been broke a few times. It doesn't hurt. Keeps you motivated, actually.
That's right.
And we had gone up to, it was Gatlinburg, Tennessee, to take part in a craft art show up there, because I was a starving artist, basically, or struggling artist, put that way.
Okay.
And there happened to be an artist up there that I had admired his work so much. And I asked Jan, I said, I would love to have a piece of that artwork signed. And so we basically skipped food money to get a piece of the artwork, and I stood in line just the way people do at my signings, and you've seen that.
Right.
And I waited, and finally it got up to be my turn. And this artist didn't look up. He didn't engage me, He scribbled something that was completely illegible.
Oh, no.
And it was like, okay, next. It was like I was cattle being run through the chute or something. And I guess it disappointed me, I guess, and hurt my feelings, I guess, more than made me mad. I mean, it didn't make me mad. I was just hurt.
Of course.
And immediately, his artwork meant so much less to me,
There you go.
And I told Jan at that very day, I said, if it ever comes to pass that somebody will honor me by allowing me to sign a piece of my artwork for them, I will try to make that short moment mean something, I'll try to take a little bit of time. And, of course, you're in a line, so you can't take a lot of time, certainly not as much as the people deserve, because they're the important thing that's happening here.
Right.
But, you can talk to them, engage them, comment something, and so we can make a connection. It's good for me too.
Sure.
Because everybody thinks the signing is good for the people who are, collecting the artwork. Well, that might be, but it's good for me too, because, it inspires me. It gets me in touch with the people that I'm working for, and it
gives you new ideas.
Absolutely, and it's just good. It makes me feel good, makes them feel good, and it's good.
Right.
But the one thing that I promise everybody is that if nothing else, they'll get a legible signature. And the first signature I take care of with it. The last signature I take care with it, and everyone in between. So I can absolutely guarantee you that if you get a signed piece from me, it won't be a scribble. It'll be in cursive, by the way, in cursive.
And nobody does cursive. They don't even teach it in the schools anymore. You know that. It's horrible.
That's
horrible.
It is horrible. You know one of the reasons why it's horrible? It's because, well, aside from signing your name, it's helpful.
Yes.
Not just an X with a witness.
Right, and it's like a piece of art, right? It's your art.
It is. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful way of doing it. It's like calligraphy. It's beautiful, right? And that's cursive.
Right.
However, if you go to Washington, D.C., and the kids out there go to Washington, D.C., and they go to the National Archives, and they want to look at the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, the two most important documents, to our whole society. How's it written? It's written in cursive.
That's right, with all those signatures of all those important men, right?
And if they can't understand cursive, it'd be like reading Pashtun or something. I mean, it would mean nothing, and it shouldn't be.
Well, you have certainly lived up to your promise of making your signature legible, and it certainly is a beautiful thing and very special. This line is also very special. The reason for the season, this is the spiritual side of Christmas, and you do such a lovely job with that.
These are some of my favorite pieces, to tell you the truth, and particularly this piece right here, this angel. I did the original of this a long time ago, and it's one of the pieces that it seemed like every bit of it just came together, exactly the way I wanted it to. Coloration, composition, and the story that it tells, the way it's presented and everything. Just I was touched.
Well, it's the story as old as time, and you found numerous ways to tell it over and over again in beautiful ways, unique ways, and this one certainly is very unique.
Well, when people ask me, what's your favorite piece, which is actually a hard question to answer, because
you have so many.
You can look over here. Y'all can't see it on camera.
Thousands.
But over to my
pieces.
left is a whole wall of examples that go all the way up to the ceiling, and so there's a bunch of pieces right over there. So you can walk around and say, "Oh, this piece, I love this. I love this. I love that." And at any given moment, maybe your favorite changes.
Right.
But my all-time favorite is this piece. Oh. This piece right here.
Well, you have so many beautiful angels on top of that. I don't know how you would pick one over the other.
I don't think there's anyone out there who seriously collects my work that doesn't have to have this piece because of that reason. It's my favorite one. It always will be, probably.
And here we have another snow globe.
Okay.
There you go. And another beautiful nativity scene, which is gorgeous.
That's a good nativity. That's that is, I think, the delicacy of that in that scale is pretty darn good. You can see. Let me get this stuff out of the way.
Would you like to hold some of them?
Yeah, if I can reach some of this. I want you to see the intricacy of just some of these quilt patterns that are on here.
That's unbelievable.
Now, look at the precision of that painting. Trust me, y'all. I mean, you can't see it in detail from where you are, but I guarantee you will marvel at just the craftsmanship that goes into these pieces. Everything's hand painted.
Beautiful.
It's not airbrushed. It's hand painted with a brush, and I'm just so pleased and proud of the super high quality of this stuff, and the painting technique is absolutely beautiful. Most of the toll painters out there will be very familiar with these techniques: the dry brushing, the glazing, the scumbling, the floating, all those things that they're familiar with. The double-loaded brush work and all this kind of thing. They'll really appreciate this, because, like for instance, look at this. Look at this. Now that design is inspired by German Fraktur style painting. It's a version of what you might say is rosemalling, and it comes from initially it being part of illumination in the old-time manuscripts, where they would use this kind of styling to decorate, the big letter. And the letter in Fraktur was segmented, typically.
Right, the first one was by itself, usually like in a little box or something.
Because it was segmented, they called it a fractured letter. Now, in German, that's Fraktur.
There you go.
Okay, so Fraktur was the style.
Gotcha.
Over the years, more and more, it became less emphasis on the letter and more emphasis on the design, until eventually the letter was isn't even part of it. It's just the design.
Right.
And that's what this is right here. But you can see the sort of what they call ombre, which I think is a descriptive word that I like to throw around because it makes me sound arty.
Yes, very intellectual.
But what it means, it's a gradual variation in color
Right.
and it's so smooth and so, look at that, it's so flawless. It's just beautifully done. This is honestly, even though the scale what it is, one of the prettiest pieces and probably the prettiest nativity I've ever done. Anyone that gets this thing, I absolutely guarantee you will love this thing for years and years to come. This has become an heirloom.
It's a treasure.
Because it's really well done. You know, I've got a lot of pieces that I'm pleased with, but I don't think there's any piece that pleases me more than this collection right here.
And that says a lot.
Yeah.
What about this one? This is beautiful and something a little unique, being that it's situated differently in the size of it. And
well, once again, see, this is one of these things where I'm able to sort of step away from what I normally do style-wise, which is generally lots and lots of, quilt patterns, folk art patterns, rose marlin and so forth, in a very wide palette. Some of these other, that's a great example right there. Look at the palette. I mean,
right.
It goes everywhere from, you got the ever-present purple, you've got everything from red, blues, greens, the whole works, and variations of that. Well, this is different. The approach to this is intended to be a little bit more neutral, a little milder.
Elegant.
Well, yes, there's a certain elegance here, a certain grace quality that's maybe not immediately evident in some of my more literal pieces. This, I think, lends itself well to a use as a decor piece. Because it can be put anywhere with anything. It doesn't dominate, and but I want to point out also the styling of this very, I think you'll agree with me, intricate design.
It's beautiful.
It's very intricate, right?
Yes, it is.
But it works well because it almost is. It becomes, if you don't concentrate on the fact that it's all these various elements, which are floral,
Right.
If you look at it as a band, see, as a frieze coming across here, it becomes a colorway, So, if you know what I mean, this is a good
This
example.
one has
over
another
here.
example of that.
This is another example, but as you can see,
Beautiful.
it's like a stripe almost, but it becomes a colorway. If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But then upon close inspection, it's not a medium green. It's just a profusity of high detail, and that's not easy. This is some of the hardest stuff I do to it, quite frankly. To have this, it's called intaglio, I think is the right way to pronounce it. Some of the stuff that sticks out, like this stuff over here, that's considered relief or bas relief,
Okay.
and some of it's heavier than others, depending on what how you want it to look. This is sort of just the opposite. These designs are incised, so they go in, and then we basically, during the painting process, we will glaze this whole area, and then take a solution, and we're cleaning the entire area. And what happens is all of the color that we put on in the form of glaze gets trapped in all of this incising that we've done, and the result is a very beautifully crafted,
Beautiful.
Design. And then to offset that on this particular piece, you have the same type of design or the same type of design elements, just the opposite in the wings.
Because it's raised.
Yeah, it's raised.
Yes.
So
Beautiful.
I mean, and those are little subtleties of this that might not just jump out, but it's interesting whether you think of it literally or not.
Right.
It's there, and
It's so creative and so artistic. Beautiful.
I think, as an artistic piece, this fits the bill pretty well.
Another question from Facebook. Becky says, do you remember the first sale you made? The very first time that someone bought one of your pieces? What was that like and what happened?
Well, thank you, Becky. I appreciate it. I appreciate
That
the.
probably brings back a happy memory, I imagine.
Well, you know, I've been doing artwork all of my life, and I've been,
An artist from day one,
well,
from
yeah,
birth.
Yeah, even when I was a kid, I was working on things just naturally, and and it became evident when I was pretty little, really, that I had a little bit of an unusual ability in this creative way. Okay, the first time I ever made any money with artwork, believe it or not, I was in the first grade.
First grade, you were a prodigy.
Well, we had a competition in school to create a poster that would advertise the school fair.
Wow.
And it was the entire school participated, and that was the entire elementary school, which was first grade through sixth grade. And they put them out there, and whoever won.
Okay.
Usually the sixth graders win because they were always older and better.
Right.
That year I won.
Oh.
And I was in the first grade, and
boy, those sixth graders were mad.
yeah, and
Stole their
in
thunder.
payment, I got a 1923 silver dollar.
Oh.
So to me, I mean, that was a good day.
Yeah, it was.
But that was the first time. Now, as I got older, of course, when I was in junior high school and in high school, I worked, part-time at the local museum, painting backdrops for the museum. A lot of them are still there.
Really?
Yeah, and I painted portraits when I was in high school around the area, and murals and things like that. So from time to time, I mean, I was always doing artwork in one form or another. Occasionally, I'd get paid for it. And so.
And look how far you've come.
But making money in artwork is an important thing because you have to make a living. But it's not the thing that drives most artists. It's not the thing that has ever really driven me.
I believe that.
So anyway, we'll talk about this. How does this thing work again for the
Yes.
the folks?
Everything that's purchased tonight from 7 to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on jimshore.com only will be signed personally by Jim. A very special, very carefully done signature from Jim.
And I don't care how many there are. If it takes me several days to complete them all, I will. And I'll spend particular attention to every single one of them. It doesn't matter to me whether I'm signing the first piece, the 100th piece, the 2,437th piece. It's every single piece is important to me. Why? Because that piece is the only piece that's going to sit in your house, and that's the only piece that's going to you. And we might have a whole bunch of pieces here, but only one's going to you, and that's the only one you care about. So consequently, when I'm dealing with it, it's the only one I care about.
And everything he does is obviously designed from the heart. Yep. So that doesn't surprise me at all that you would take that much care with your signature. But please know that it will take 4 weeks for delivery because it does take time to do all those signings. And the regular shipping rates apply, and it only is the items that are in stock on jimshore.com. We can't do phone orders or any special orders, unfortunately, and it's everything from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. We will be looping this show, so you'll get to watch this until 7 o'clock tonight, and that'll only be on jimshore.com.
Yeah, and if you liked it the first time,
you can watch us again.
Yeah, watch it again.
And again.
And then again. Yeah.
Well, this collection.
Deja vu, yeah.
Right, exactly. This collection is one of your continuing lines, something that you've done forever and will continue to do. It's the Santas and the snowmen. And I think it's fascinating that once upon a time, the powers that be did not want you to do snowmen because they didn't think that you could make it interesting.
Well, I mentioned earlier that it's 3 white balls. Well, they felt the same way.
I see.
They said 3 white balls. What can you do with 3 white balls?
Ta-da!
Yeah, I said, well,
let me show you. Yeah,
now
you took on that challenge.
Here's the thing. That was on the heels of them already accepting my Santa collection and my angel collection.
So they were like, enough already, Jim. How creative could you possibly be? They didn't know who they were dealing with.
Yeah, I'm thinking, holy cow, look what I did for you with the Santas and the angels. You're not going to trust me in a snowman?
Right.
I love these pieces, though, that you have here. Particularly this piece right here. This is one of my favorites, and I I have a very dear friend who this is also one of her favorites. And she has mentioned that to me, and she's pointed that out to me, and I've sort of, you know, gone over some of the elements with her in the complexity of the patterning.
And the crystals.
The crystals are beautiful, and they're a light touch. So they augment the piece rather than dominate anything like that. But these designs here are right out of the the grandmother's quilts. All the quilters out there will recognize every one of them. They all allude to this season too, whether it be the crown of thorns or the Christmas garden, and because all of these things are quilt patterns that mean something, and it's the subject of Christmas. And then it's offset with a little bit of the tone on tone rose mulling up here, and also a little bit of the crystals. And these are real crystals. I won't mention the name because I can't pronounce it, but everybody knows what those crystals are. And so this is one of my favorite pieces, and I'm always happy when folks like my very special friend points them out to me.
And look at this one. This is really unique. I haven't seen one like this. It's
Yeah.
sort of a snow globe, but not without the glitter and all of that.
It's kind of like, you know, those domes, you know, that they used to put different things in, you know. Well, that's kind of the idea here.
So
and so you've got a whole village, and you've got Santa, and it's in actually for its size, pretty extreme detail, really. And then you've got the jolly elf himself, you know, on top of it. So it becomes kind of, you know, his robe, kind of, and then, but a take on it being his robe, and also those classic domed scenes that used to be so prevalent.
Right.
So it's kind of a retro piece.
Yes, but everything you do has meaning or something unique about it, or something really interesting or clever, and I think that also is what makes your work so wonderful.
Here's an interesting piece. You see those names right here on the list?
Yeah?
Can you read a few of them?
Are they your grandchildren?
They are my grandkids.
Oh, how sweet is
Yeah,
that? A little tribute
they're
to
all-
his grandkids.
Yeah, Lena and Zachary and Will, and it goes on and on, all of them. And
I told you he designed from the heart now.
hopefully that's the nice list.
I hope
And,
so.
well, I'm an optimist, so
Okay,
let's say it's
all
a nice list. But that's a pretty well executed piece as far as the detailing. It's a cute piece. And what color do we have?
Purple. Lots
So-
of purple.
Anyway, that's a great piece there. And all of these pieces, you know, if you collect Santa Clauses or if you collect snowmen, these are wonderful pieces to add to your collection. Here's another example of what we just showed you earlier with the angel done in this very styling. So we've got a little something here for
everyone.
you know, for everyone.
And Lisa has a quick question. I
Okay.
know we're running out of time, but
I've
I don't
got
want
an
to skip
answer.
anyone's questions. She said, what was your very first design? Can you show it to us?
You know, actually earlier I looked at those. I pulled those. I don't know what I've done with them. Give me just a second, if I can
Oh,
do this without getting too
I don't
much
know that
trouble.
you can go anywhere. You're attached.
Yeah, I know I'm attached. Hang on. Should have had these more accessible.
Aw.
This piece right here, you want to talk about snowman? Okay. I guess
You made
I'm
him
still
work
good, right?
for it that time.
I know. Okay. This snowman right here, that was the first snowman that I presented to my license, UNESCO. That was when they said, what can you do with 3 white balls? That's what I did with 3 white balls.
And the rest is history.
Now this, like a lot of these pieces that are cast, that's an original.
Wow. Oh my gosh, and it's really heavy.
Yeah. That's the original. That's what it would look like. Actually, I painted it. Normally, I don't paint the originals. We make molds, and then we do the paint work off of some of the first, ones out of the mold. This one, I did this, basically to sell the idea that I could do a snowman.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. But it's got the scene all the way around, as you can see. So I ended up painting the whole works, and there you go. So the line, I guess, has matured from that, but that was the beginning of that. This piece here is actually reminiscent. This is casting too. This is a prototype.
Okay.
So it's not one of the pieces that immediately went online. It's a prototype. We get the prototypes and we look at them, we adjust them, we deal with them but this was sort of one of the pieces in the, you might say, the gang of 7, because I initially, and it was Santa Claus's First. That was the first thing I submitted to the current license, which became Heartwood Creek. When I submitted this, we didn't even have a name yet.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but that's one of the pieces. I had 7 pieces that were very similar to this in that they were folk art oriented with the quilt patterns, a little bit of rose mulling and stuff like that. So that was the original idea, the original concept that was different. And right now, you know, we're so accustomed to seeing quilt patterns and that kind of stuff. It seems pretty natural. Back then, this was totally original.
Oh.
And that's what allowed me, with my license and my artwork, to get to the starting gate, and the rest of it, the folks out there that are watching are responsible for.
And now you've been celebrating your 15-year anniversary of Heartwood Creek.
This year.
So hey, look where you've come.
Yep, and I've got some of the pieces that are celebratory of the 15 pieces, and I've got these crystals in there. That's a beauty, right?
It is beautiful.
And you know, to celebrate the fact that we've been around for a while.
A long while.
And we're still going strong.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As we said earlier, everything purchased on jimshore.com from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight will be signed personally by Jim. Please allow 4 weeks for delivery and know that the regular shipping charges apply. And if you are on Facebook watching us, just go over to jimshore.com where you can take advantage of the offer. We've so enjoyed being with you and wish you all the best. Jim, thank you so much for having us and for your continued beautiful work.
Valerie, it was a delight, first off, to be here with you.
Oh, thank you.
You're just a wonderful partner in all of this. This is sort of an ongoing thing we've been doing for a while, and we'll do more, because there's so much more to talk about and so many more designs to discuss, things that I want to tell you about. Maybe I've got some good stories that I've been holding into that I want to share with you. So we'll do this again pretty soon. But I want to thank everybody for taking a little bit of time and being with us and allowing us to share a little bit of what I do, you know, from my heart to you. And it's been a delight. It's been an honor, and I so look forward to it. And as we get into the holidays and the Christmas season and the Thanksgiving season, I hope that you and your family have a wonderful and safe Christmas holiday this year. Thank you, and God bless you.
Take care, everyone.
Love you all.
Good night.